events that happen as a result of it. There should be some kind of resolution. It doesn't need to be a really final kind of resolution, but there should be some kind of closure that we get as a reader. We shouldn't get to the end and say, well, what happened then? Maybe we wonder longer term effects of this, but we shouldn't be left feeling the story is incomplete. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns? All right, let's finish up book 10. So we're here on page 244. 244. So open up your book to there. Book 10. We should finish it today. So open up your book to there. Book 10. We should finish it today. So book 10 questions. And I'll change on Jupiter. It'll be due tomorrow. So the poem on 1029.
240 what?
244. Creative writing 5th. Oh, we said we were going to have a test this week. We got this festival day. Book 10 questions are going to be due tomorrow. So that's not 10, 5, 10, 9. Book 10 questions will be tomorrow, the 6th.
What? So the test is tomorrow?
No, book 10 questions will be tomorrow. Let's see about this test. Let me think about that. I don't know how to. If we, let me think about it. I'll make a decision before the end of class about that. All right. Book 10, page 244. Odysseus is where right now? He's with Circe on her island, Aea. Not Calypso on Ogygia. Here, Circe on Aea. Try not to get these two nymphs with lovely braids mixed up. And what's happened between Odysseus and Circe up to this point?
He didn't fall for her stuff. She turned his men back.
She turned his men back from pigs into men again. Odysseus and Circe have had some alone time. And the rest of Odysseus' men get invited to come back to Circe's palace and feast there. With this one guy, Eurylochus, who had led that original group, having some doubts about it. So we'll pick up line, 495, all the while. See that? I guess that's the very end of 494. All the while, middle of page 244. All the while, so this is while he's getting his other men, Circe had bathed my other comrades in her palace, caring and kindly, rubbed them sleek with oil and decked them out in fleecy cloaks and shirts. We found them all together feasting in her halls. Once we had recognized each other, gazing face to face, we all broke down and wept. And the house resounded now, and Circe, the lustrous one, came toward me pleading, "Royal son of Laertes, Odysseus, man of action, no more tears now, calm these tides of sorrow. Well I know what pains you bore on the swarming sea, what punishment you endured from hostile men on land. But come now, eat your food and drink your wine, till the same courage fills your chests now as then, when you first set sail from native land, from rocky Ithaca. Now you are burnt out husks, your spirits haggard, seared, always brooding over your wanderings long and hard, your hearts never lifting with joy. You've suffered far too much." So she enticed and won our battle-hardened spirits over. And there we sat at ease, day in, day out, till a year had run its course, feasting on sides of meat and draughts of heady wine. But then, when the year was gone and the seasons wheeled by and the months waned and the long days came round again, my loyal comrades took me aside and prodded, "Captain, this is madness. High time you thought of your own home at last, if it really is your fate to make it back alive and reach your well-built house in native land." Their urging brought my stubborn spirit round. So all that day till the sun went down, we sat and feasted on sides of meat and heady wine. Then when the sun had set and night came on, the men lay down to sleep in the shadowed halls, but I went up to that luxurious bed of Circe's, hugged her by the knees, and the goddess heard my winging supplication. "Circe, Now make good a promise you gave me once. It's time to help me home. My heart longs to be home, my comrades' hearts as well. They wear me down, pleading with me whenever you're away. So I pressed, and the lustrous goddess answered me in turn. Royal son of Laertes, Odysseus, old campaigner, stay on no more in my house against your will. But first, another journey calls. You must travel down to the house of death and the awesome one, Persephone, there to consult the ghost of Tiresias, seer of Thebes, the great blind prophet whose mind remains unshaken. Even in death, Persephone has given him wisdom, everlasting vision to him and him alone. The rest of the dead are empty, flitting shades. So she said and crushed the heart inside me. I knelt in her bed and wept, 246. I had no desire to go on living and see the rising light of day. But once I'd had my fill of tears and writhing there, at last I found the words to venture. Circe, Circe, who can pilot us on that journey? Who has ever reached the house of death in a black ship? The lustrous goddess answered, never pausing. Royal son of Laertes, Odysseus, born for exploits, let no lack of a pilot at the helm concern you. No, just step your mast and spread your white sail wide. Sit back, and the north wind will speed you on your way. But once your vessel has cut across the ocean river, you will raise a desolate coast and Persephone's grove, her tall black poplars, willows whose fruit dies young. Beach your vessel hard by the ocean's turning shore, and make your own way down to the moldering house of death. And there into Acheron, the flood of grief, two rivers flow, the torrent river of fire, the wailing river of tears that branches off from Styx, the stream of hate. And a stark crag looms where the two rivers thunder down and meet. Once there, go forward, hero. Do as I say now. Dig a trench of about a forearm's depth and length, and around it pour libations out to all the dead, first with milk and honey, and then with mellow wine. Then water, third and last, and sprinkle glistening barley over it all, and vow again and again to all the dead, to the driftling, listless spirits of their ghosts, that once you return to Ithaca, you will slaughter a barren heifer in your halls, the best you have, and load a pyre with treasures. And to Tiresias alone apart, you will offer a sleek black ram, the pride of all your herds. And once your prayers have invoked the nations of the dead in their dim glory, slaughter a ram and a black ewe, turning both their heads toward Erebus, but turn your head away looking toward the ocean river. Suddenly then the countless shades of the dead and gone will surge around you there. But order your men at once to flay the sheep that lie before you, killed by your ruthless blade, and burn them both. And then say prayers to the gods, to the almighty god of death and dread Persephone. But you, draw your sharp sword from beside your hip, sit down on alert there, and never let the ghosts of the shambling, shiftless dead come near that blood, till you have questioned Tiresias yourself. Soon the great seer will appear before you, captain of armies. He will tell you the way to go, the stages of your voyage, how you can cross the swarming sea and reach home at last. What does Circe tell Odysseus he needs to do? So they say they're partying for a year. Finally going to get going. But when Odysseus goes to Circe, he says, please let me leave, let me go home. What does she tell him?
You can go, but it's another something else.
Right, where else does he have to go?
Talk to this dude.
Yes, Tiresias. He has to talk to Tiresias. Where does Tiresias live? Or where is Tiresias? Maybe it's a bit more accurate. Where is Tiresias? Where can he find Tiresias?
Mm. You good?
Hmm?
Hold on.
Why is it a difficult thing to find Tiresias to talk to? Where is he? Odysseus is gonna have to cross the ocean to get to this place. So it's far, but there's another complication here. Tiresias is blind. Yes, Tiresias is a figure from Greek mythology. He's a blind fortune teller.
He's in the
He's where?
underworld?
Yes, he's in the he's dead. Tiresias is dead. He's in the underworld. Hades, the name of the Greek god of the dead, but also the place where they live. Or Erebus is another name that Homer uses here for Erebus. Who's Persephone, who gets mentioned a number of times? Anybody happen to know who Persephone is? Persephone is Hades' wife, queen of the dead. Her mother was Demeter, the goddess of the earth and the harvest. And Demeter loved Persephone very, very much. But one day, as Demeter and Persephone were wandering along through the fields, picking flowers, enjoying the springtime, Hades, sitting alone in the dark caves of the underworld, noticed her and desired her. When Persephone and her mother wandered off in different directions to gather flowers, Hades opened up the ground below Persephone and kidnapped her down to the underworld, made her his wife. Demeter was devastated. She was so devastated that she didn't cause anything on the earth to grow. It was winter. Nothing would grow. Everything died. And this was a problem for the rest of the gods because the gods want sacrifice from humans. And the mortals didn't have anything to sacrifice. All their crops were dead. All their animals were dying. It was dark. It was cold. They didn't have anything to sacrifice to the gods. So the gods told Hades to send Persephone back to her mother Demeter. Unfortunately, while she was down there, Persephone had eaten one of the seeds of a pomegranate while in the underworld. And anyone who has eaten food in the underworld can't return, can't leave again. So the gods made a deal with Hades where half the year she would live with her mother Demeter. Demeter would be glad, and the earth would grow green things. There would be good food to eat. And the other half of the year, she would be with Hades, and her poor mother would weep and cry, and nothing would grow in the earth. That's who Persephone is. Proserpina in Latin, but yes, Persephone here. This goddess of the dead. All right, and so Odysseus is going to have to sail across the ocean to get to the land of the dead, to get to Hades. What else is he going to have to do, though, once he gets there? What is he going to have to do once he gets... What blood? So one of the instructions is Circe says, don't let the ghosts get near the blood until you've had a chance to talk to Tiresias. What blood is she talking about? Where does this blood come from? Where does this blood come from? Take a look. She tells him where this blood's going to come from. Yes. Yeah, Odysseus is going to have to sacrifice 2 sheep there, a ram and a ewe. Ram is a male sheep, a ewe is a female sheep. Going to have to kill them and flay them, means remove their skin and burn them. And before that, here in lines 568 and following, or 569, she tells him, dig a trench of about a forearm's depth and length, and around it pour libations out to all the dead, first with milk and honey, and then with mellow wine, then water third and last, and sprinkle glistening barley over it all, and promise to the dead to make a sacrifice. Libations, we've had this word libation before. What's a libation?
To make a blood sacrifice. No, I don't know.
It doesn't have to be blood. Libation is a liquid sacrifice that you pour out on the ground. So here, when he gets there, there's this somewhat complicated ritual that Odysseus has to do to summon the dead spirits. He has to dig this hole the right size. He's going to pour around it milk, honey, wine, water, sprinkle barley grains. Barley is a type of grain. It's sort of similar to wheat. Barley grains are a common thing used in Greek religious rituals. He'll sprinkle barley grain, swear oaths to the spirits of the dead that he'll sacrifice to them when he gets back home, including one just for Tiresias. Yes, this is how he's going to summon the spirits of the dead. All right, let's see Odysseus' reaction to this. 247. When we saw Odysseus' reaction, that he says at the top of 246, I knelt in her bed and wept. I had no desire to go on living and see the rising light of day. He's so horrified by the prospect of this journey that he wishes that he could die instead. So 247, about a third of the way down. And with those words, Dawn rose on her golden throne, and Circe dressed me quickly in a sea cloak and shirt, while the queen slipped on a loose, glistening robe, filmy, a joy to the eye, and round her waist she ran a brocaded golden belt, and over her head a scarf to shield her brow. And I strode on through the halls to stir my men, hovering over each with a winning word. Up now! No more lazing away in sleep, we must set sail. Queen Circe has shown the way. I brought them round, my hearty friends in arms, but not even from there could I get them safely off without a loss. There was a man, Elpenor, the youngest in our ranks, none too brave in battle, none too sound in mind. He'd strayed from his mates in Circe's magic halls, and keen for the cool night air, sodden with wine, he'd bedded down on her roofs. But roused by the shouts and tread of marching men, he leapt up with a start at dawn, but still so dazed he forgot to climb back down again by the long ladder. Head first from the roof he plunged, his neck snapped from the backbone, his soul flew down to death. Once on our way, I gave the men their orders. You think we are headed home, our own dear land? Well, Circe sets us a rather different course, down to the house of death and the awesome one Persephone, there to consult the ghost of Tiresias, seer of Thebes. So I said, and it broke my shipmates' hearts. They sank down on the ground, moaning, tore their hair, but it gained us nothing. What good can come of grief? Back to the swift ship at the water's edge we went, our spirits deep in anguish, faces wet with tears. But Circe got to the dark hull before us, tethered a ram and black ewe close by, slipping past unseen. Who can glimpse a god who wants to be invisible, gliding here and there? What last little complication happens as Odysseus tries to head out from Aeaea? Yeah, one of his men, who apparently was kind of a loser anyway, right? None too brave in battle. It's not particularly brave. What's the other thing he says? None too. Why does he fall through and break his neck?
Oh, the ladder for contact.
So yeah, see, he went up on the roof. Why did he go up on the roof? He'd strayed from his mates in Circe's magic halls, and keen for the cool night air, sodden with wine, he'd bedded down on her roofs. He was drunk. Said, I'll go get some fresh air, sleep outside on the roof. Morning wakes up, hears people shouting, getting ready. Slips, falls, dies. Not a very heroic end to poor Elpenor. All right, questions about book 10? All right, do those questions. We'll review them tomorrow. Let's start 11. Got a lot of books to get through. Let me get those questions for you guys. So here in 11, we'll see their journey down to the dead. Yes, I do. All right, so book 11. Question will come off the printer in a minute. Book 11, the Kingdom of the Dead. This is one of the weirder books here in the Odyssey. Odysseus' journeys so far have been fantastical, some of them, but here definitely take a turn for the creepy. Not so much horrifying or terrifying as the other one, but creepy. This is also a theme that we see a lot in epic poems. Not every epic has this, but many do. This, you have the hero. You have that there's gods involved in his struggle, but often also some kind of connection between the living and the dead makes an appearance in epic also. That the dead are still somehow connected with all of this. And we get a bit of a vision of how Homer and Greeks at Homer's time thought of life after death. It's not a particularly pleasant one. So would somebody go get these book 11 questions, and then we'll get started on this. Let's get back to those. Thank you very much. All right. Book 11, The Kingdom of the Dead, page 249. I'm just going to, for now, post these 11 questions as being due on Friday, but probably, that might change, especially since we won't have class on Wednesday. All right, and I'll get that posted. All right, The Kingdom of the Dead. Now, down we came to the ship at the water's edge. We hauled and launched her into the sunlit breakers first, stepped the mast in the black craft and set our sail, and loaded the sheep aboard, the ram and ewe. Then we ourselves embarked, streaming tears, our hearts weighed down in anguish, but bellying out our sail to drive our blue prow on, as we, securing the running gear from stem to stern, sat back while the wind and helmsman kept her crew on course. The sail stretched taut as she cut the sea all day, and the sun sank, and the roads of the world grew dark. And she made the outer limits, the ocean river's bounds where Cimmerian people have their homes, their realm and city shrouded in mist and cloud. The eye of the sun can never flash his rays through the dark and bring them light, not when he climbs the starry skies or when he wheels back down from the heights to touch the earth once more. An endless, deadly night overhangs those wretched men. There, gaining that point, we beached our craft, and herding out the sheep, we picked our way by the ocean's banks until we gained the place that Circe made our goal. We're brought here very rapidly by this wind, and right here from the beginning, the setting is weird. We have this region where there's no sunlight, he says, or effectively none. All right. Here at the spot, Perimedes and Eurylochus held the victims fast, and I, drawing my sharp sword from beside my hip, dug a trench of about a forearm's depth and length, and around it poured libations out to all the dead, first with milk and honey, and then with mellow wine, then water third and last, and sprinkled glistening barley over it all. And time again, I vowed to all the dead, to drifting, listless spirits of their ghosts, that once I returned to Ithaca, I would slaughter a barren heifer in my halls, the best I had, and load a pyre with treasures. And to Tiresias alone apart, I would offer a sleek black ram, the pride of all my herds. And once my vows and prayers had invoked the nations of the dead, I took the victims. Over the trench I cut their throats, and the dark blood flowed in. And up out of Erebus they came, flocking toward me now, the ghosts of the dead and gone, brides, and unwed youths, and old men who had suffered much, and girls with their tender hearts freshly scarred by sorrow, and great armies of battle dead, stabbed by bronze spears, men of war still wrapped in bloody armor, thousands swarming around the trench from every side, unearthly cries, blanching terror gripped me. I ordered the men at once to flay the sheep that lay before us, killed by my ruthless blade, and burn them both, and then say prayers to the gods, to the almighty God of death and dread Persephone. But I, the sharp sword drawn from beside my hip, sat down on alert there, and never let the ghosts of the shambling, shiftless dead come near that blood, till I had questioned Tiresias myself. What are some of the words here that we're not gonna read past it, but what are some of the words here that Homer used to describe the dead spirits? Well, Persephone is dread. She's terrifying. Persephone is, but the dead spirit, she's a goddess. But the spirits, how does he describe them?
Listless.
Listless. What does listless mean?
Okay. Is that you can't have it or something?
You can't what?
Oh, no.
Listless means unenergetic. If someone's listless, they don't have a whole lot of enthusiasm. They don't have a whole lot of energy. It's hard to motivate them to do something. So these spirits are listless. What else are they?
Drifting.
Drifting. This idea of things drifting in the water or drifting in the wind. If you're drifting, you're not active. You're just being carried along in a passive way. Shambling. Shambling. Think like the zombies in Walking Dead are shambling. Shiftless is similar to listless. Yes, these are not. Yeah, this is not a positive image called. Yes, definitely not positive. And we're going to see that this idea develop more. Remember, Odysseus and his men, they have seen a lot of death. In the war, before the war, after the war. These are traumatized men. And here, being presented by these spirits, and it's not something to look forward to. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you very much. See you later.